Stugatz here. SeatGeek is the smartest, easiest way to find tickets for the football games you want to see up close and in person this season. There's nothing like being in the stadium for the biggest plays of the year, and with SeatGeek, it's never been easier to get the guaranteed seats you want for a great value. I have the SeatGeek app on my phone, and it's by far the easiest way I found to shop for tickets. I could be anywhere, and with just a few taps, I can instantly find seats for this weekend or any game this season. Plus, every ticket you buy on SeatGeek is backed by their 100% guarantee, so you can shop for tickets on SeatGeek with confidence. Best of all, my listeners get a $20 rebate off their first SeatGeek purchase. To get your $20 rebate on tickets, download the SeatGeek app, go to the Settings tab, and click Add a Promo Code. Enter promo code LeBatard. SeatGeek will send you $20 after you've made your first ticket purchase. Download the SeatGeek app and enter promo code LeBatard today.
I mean, you could celebrate 4-4 if you want to. They're going to get smoked at San Diego.
1st and 10, Miami at the 39. Play action. Tannehill rolling right, getting chased, getting drilled, throwing to the end zone. Touchdown, Kenny Stills.
I think Dolphin fans feeling pretty good about their team. I don't know if they should or not, but they feel pretty good about their team right now.
You know they should.
Deion Sims motions right to left. Tannehill hands to the up man, and that is Williams churning towards the end zone. He's across. Touchdown, Miami.
San Diego's better than the Dolphins.
Rivers back, getting pressured, lobbing end zone, intercepted. Intercepted by Tony Lippett. A blind pass by Rivers, picked off in the back of the end zone. I have no idea what that was supposed to be. There was no one close.
A texter writes in, they're going to get smoked at San Diego, LeBatard, 4-5. They just gave up 35 to the Titans. Do you remember what the Titans did to you?
Flush in, pass picked off! Miami will run back with it. Kiko Alonso at the 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Miami with 1:01 to go.
I mean, you could celebrate 4-4 if you want to. They're going to get smoked at San Diego. Do they still use the T-Pain song? Do they still use that at the at the stadium? A texter writes in, I'm just here to enjoy you being wrong. So enjoy the next hour. Should be a lot of fun for you.
They delight in it, man.
Well, I'm here for them. I told you I would say the things that would make you feel like Heat fans felt for those 4 years because no one else is saying them. So who do they play next? Let me go ahead and say the thing again so that I could be there for you. I'm getting so much fins up. And there's nothing bad to say about that victory at San Diego.
They have the Rams next, man.
Oh, they're going to lose. They are going to do the Dolphin thing. Do they have the Rams at home or do they have
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
They're going to do the Dolphin thing where they lose. I'm going to be the guy that you want me to be. I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to just pick against them every week. They're going to get smoked by the Rams. They're going to get their skulls caved in by the Rams. But there's nothing bad to say about yesterday. You go to San Diego and you win. There's almost no way to urinate on that. I don't even know how you would. I guess you could say that the Chargers were injured and Rivers threw a career high in interceptions because his receivers were running the wrong routes and he's out there without Benjamin. And who's number 13 for them? Keenan, what's his name?
Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen, yeah. There's really nothing you could say about that game, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
they won.
Yeah, they won.
You could say the same thing that you said last week about the turnover differential and how you shouldn't have a close game.
No, but if you win at San Diego, if you go across the country and win, and winning close games isn't an ability, and they've been doing that over the course of the winning streak. They keep winning these close games. That's not an ability, and that will catch up to you. You know, eventually Cleveland won't miss the kick at the end, but they're 5-4, and when you were injured, you started 1-4, and San Diego was injured, and so you were able to go out there and beat them, and that's as bad as Rivers can play.
Pretty much. 4 interceptions, yeah.
You win the game. Kiko Alonso is terrible in coverage. He's really bad at it, and he's been a liability for his entire career and half of this season, but he won the game for you late, and not only did he win the game for you late, San Diego really got out-coached at the end of that game. The Dolphins knew what they were going to, knew what their audibles were, made them call timeout, Kiko Alonso knew exactly where Rivers was going with that ball, and Rivers usually doesn't get outsmarted on that stuff.
I know he doesn't. And there's so many things to feel good about if you're the Dolphins. Devontae Parker, little flash right there. Tannehill played very, very well. The defense was exceptional. Cameron Wake has been great the last couple of weeks.
Cameron Wake has been really good. That's another one I was wrong about. If you're here to enjoy me being wrong, I figured that at that age his career would be ended by that Achilles injury, that he would never again be the same player. And he was yesterday. Also encouraging is that they don't turn the ball over.
No.
They haven't turned the ball over. They turned it over once yesterday with a disaster play, and then they got it right back. They turned it over with just a terrible special teams play. I felt bad for that guy, Grant, where he makes the first mistake of fielding a punt inside of his own 10-yard line, which you should never do. And then he fields the punt and fumbles it and just lays on the ground there as it's recovered. And you get the ball right back by stopping them on second down, third down, and then first down, second down, and then intercepting the ball on third down, and deny them any points. You really can't say anything about that victory. It's a season swinging victory because now all of a sudden you're 2 games back on the Patriots, and you get to play the Patriots.
Yep, and the schedule, I mean, it just plays. Listen, it's the schedule. It is what it is. Dan, I know you hate this conversation, but it happens to be a very easy schedule the rest of the way. I mean, it does. It's the Niners, it's the Rams, it's the Ravens, it's the Jets. I mean, it's a pretty easy schedule.
I don't think you can do that, though.
Not yet with the Dolphins?
I mean, not with them. I don't think you can do that with them. I mean, when they played the Jets here, they got to play at the Jets. When they played the Jets here, they barely won the game. Like, You can't do that in that league.
Yesterday sort of reminded me of that Super Bowl between the Bucs and the Raiders, where Gruden knew every Raiders play. Gase learned under Mike McCoy. You saw that defense. They had no timeouts in the end because Phillip Rivers was calling out timeouts because the linebackers were screaming screen, and it totally blew up Rivers' play. They were just all over everything.
I wonder about that. I wonder why. I guess you got to yell screen, but why not just know that it's a screen? Because you made him call the timeout, but it'd be even better if he went to the screen and you knew it was going to be a screen, because you did. You made him use his last timeout because he came to the line and he started changing the play, and they knew whatever the audible was, and they started screaming, screen, 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 and then he had to call timeout. And then, well, I guess you shouldn't call. I guess it's fine to do it that way because on the next play after the timeout, you got him anyway. You got him with the Alonso return. And I'm telling you, Alonso's been really bad in coverage this year. He is really bad in coverage.
Well, the Vultures have swooped in here via text, and they're saying Kiko Alonso is actually one of the best coverage linebackers in the NFL.
Oh, no, he is not. That's not
I'm just telling you that they're swooping in, and they're attributing it to something that Omar Kelly said.
That's absolutely not true.
Well, I have Pro Football Focus up right now. In coverage, he's 57th overall among linebackers this season.
Okay.
Like, that play was great, but he's been beat up. Anybody who's been watching the Dolphins this season knows that anytime he's on a tight end, that doesn't go well. Even if it's, because Antonio Gates is broken at this point. What happened to the Chargers yesterday offensively is Antonio Gates at this point in his career cannot be your number one option. What they were able to do is they covered him with Maxwell. They used their best corner on him because the receivers weren't any kind of threat, because Inman was their number one receiver. So Antonio Gates at this point in his career with the Chargers has to be your second or your third receiver. He cannot be the guy that is the primary option because he's just, you could tell, like his body is just, it's almost sad to watch Antonio Gates play when you consider that he's a Hall of Famer and he just looks so broken out there.
So many lower body injuries over the course of that career, and now, he looks broken.
Well, and so many injuries because Rivers is always throwing into these tight windows with him that gets him crunched by 2 and 3 guys. Even the touchdown they got was that.
Sure.
Even the touchdown they got to take the lead. Beyond Tannehill not making interceptions, he made 2 throws in that game when crushed, chin strap by his ear. In fact, on one of them, you remember the Charger safety was on the sidelines just breaking things, physically breaking things after allowing the touchdown to Stills. He was doing that because he knew what was coming, and the Tannehill throw was so good that he was able the Tannehill throw was so good from 35 yards away that the safety still couldn't do anything, even though he was in position to to be where he was supposed to be.
Him hanging in the pocket and rolling out, buying time, that throw to Devontae Parker down the sideline. Devontae Parker did a good job of getting open, but he got absolutely crushed, got a blow to the head, and drew a flag, and he came up and he was super amped, and why wouldn't you be?
Yeah,
that was a hell of a play.
He made a couple of they still frustrate me because largely they still play for 4 and 5 yards at a time. But yesterday they had a couple of giant plays when they needed them down the field plays to Devontae Parker and Kenny Stills.
That might be the best game Tannehill's had, right? I mean, the rating was great, the QBR. It's going to be interesting. I don't know what he is still. That's the interesting thing for me, at least, with Tannehill, because for the season, the numbers haven't been great. Yesterday, he was great, but he's been pretty average this season.
Well, he needs to not make disaster plays. He needs to not have they happened to recover the one where he got stripped, right? They recovered that one themselves when he got stripped from behind. What was the turnover differential in the game? Like 4-1? 4 Rivers interceptions to the 1 Grant turnover. I think they did get lucky because the guard recovered the fumble when Tannehill got stripped. But there's nothing bad to say about that.
Yeah, 4-1.
4-1, and they were driving to win the game with a field goal, and at that point you probably figured that they were going to lose the game.
Oh, no doubt, yes. I think most Dolphin fans probably felt like they were going to lose.
Rivers is a really smart quarterback. That does not happen very often. Never mind the career high in 4 interceptions, which has never happened to him, but that ending doesn't happen to him very well. That ending always happens to him, but not that way, where he's the one responsible for the mistake and it goes 70 yards in the other direction. I do love the idea of him yelling at his receivers, though, when he lost that game. Even if the receivers, like there were a couple, that Williams guy who scored the go-ahead touchdown late, there were a couple of times where he didn't know what he was doing, where it was clearly back shoulder plays that just ended up being 15 yards incomplete because he was running a go route and clearly Rivers knew that that's not what he was supposed to be doing. And even McCoy was screaming at him, "What are you doing?" It doesn't matter that that's why you won, but that is why you won.
Win's a win, Dan.
Correct. I'm going to tell the audience now something that's supposed to be a surprise on ESPNU. This show is going to be bad today, or worse than usual, because I'm hugely uncomfortable. I'm physically uncomfortable right now. And Mike was worried because he thought the neck brace that I'm wearing to recreate Bobby Petrino after his motorcycle accident with his mistress on the back of that press conference here. I'm doing that look. But Mike made the mistake, Stugat, of buying me a Razorbacks jersey here,
right?
That is extra large.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Razorbacks jacket. Yeah, I bought an XL.
But go ahead and tell him the mistake you made, Mike.
I bought a ladies XL.
So I can't move. I can't put my headsets on over my head. I feel like that tux in New York. Like, it's worse. I cannot move. It's so tight around my arms, so tight around my armpits.
The jacket is incredibly tight. The brace is obviously looking like it's choking the life out of you, and you have your face painted red. I think it's makeup, but I think it might be just you being strangled to death by your outfit.
It could also be shame from my Chargers prediction. It could also be just the shame watching over my face.
I mean, you're busting out of that thing, man. Like, do you feel like you should have to wear it? It's Mike's mistake.
I mean, what choice do we have?
I actually feel bad for you.
I soldier on. It's hugely uncomfortable. This is going to be a hugely uncomfortable thing to wear for 4 hours.
Chicken thigh.
You don't feel bad for it. You don't feel bad for it. You just say things sometimes just to say them.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from the Fantasy Focus Football Podcast. Today on the show, Stefania Bell, Field Yates, and myself look back to the barn burner that was Thursday night. Plus, we preview all the Week 10 games. Who's in, who's out, who should you play, and who should you avoid.
Don Le Batard.
I've made a vow to not correct Stugatz all show today on any mistakes, not point out any of his mistakes as part of a continued quest to do better and be better.
Stugatz!
Yep, and I have vowed to try and be 1% less worse than I normally am. That's what you asked, and that's what I'm going to try to do. 1%. I'm trying here, man. I am.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on the ticket.
Mike, can I do the show from this distance, from the microphone?
No. You got to get closer.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
It's just so uncomfortable. God.
I think you have some room there where you can pull the mic closer to you, though, and sit back the way you
No,
want.
the neck brace and the tightness, the general tightness of the Razorback shirt makes it very hard to pull anything closer to me or to move my arms at all. And we got a problem on our hands here today because the starting point on everything we do around here is fun. And while you guys are having a great deal of fun, nobody more than Roy, who I've never seen laugh more than he laughed at me at the end of the last segment, braying laughter in my face. This is not going to be fun for 4 hours. I mean, for me, because I'm beginning to sweat, and the sweat doesn't have anywhere to go because the pullover is so tight, and I'm wearing a neck brace. And I can't move, so on top of everything else, I'm going to be damp here very soon. What are you looking at, Fets and Info? You know this feeling. Maybe that's why you were looking like that. You know what it's like to be damp. A texter writes in, you don't watch the Dolphins. You admittedly watch the Red Zone. I actually watched all of the Dolphins game yesterday. And I do wonder, Stugatz.
Yeah.
How much the Red Zone experience is cannibalizing everything because the 4 o'clock games don't move fast enough for me, and those were at least two. Well, all of the 4 o'clock games were good games, right? Even the Arizona San Francisco game was a close game. The Dallas Pittsburgh game was amazing.
Right. Yeah.
The San Diego Miami game was great, and I wasn't getting enough action. Like I was getting bored. Because the Dolphins kept doing this thing, kick, commercial, kick, commercial.
Yep.
And I'm going 10 minutes where all I'm seeing is something kicked into the end zone.
Right. No doubt that at least for me, I know 1 o'clock games, especially when the Jets are out of it like they are now, I'm glued to the Red Zone channel. But 4 o'clock games, there's just not enough of them.
Right. But the 1 o'clock game, there's so many of them. You're watching 7, 8, 9 games, whatever it is, that you never get bored watching from 1 to 4, but I told you before, so with even one of my teams involved and even good football, I was getting bored from 4 to 7 because they've sort of spoiled us and addicted us to that 3:45 to 4:15 window where you suddenly care about Vikings Washington because everything is happening in the game. That was a great weekend of football. That was the best weekend of football we've gotten this season because the Dallas-Pittsburgh game was amazing, and the Seattle-New England game might have been better than that.
Yep, plus college on Saturday was fantastic. So,
yeah, well, everybody lost. Yeah, everybody lost.
That's
Saturday.
why it was fantastic.
So I don't know who's in the top 4 now.
Well, the AP top 4, I mean, they'll announce the standings tonight, and Alabama's obviously there. I think Michigan's still there. Louisville and Ohio State will probably be the other 2 teams.
Michigan's still there after losing to Iowa?
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's what the experts. I think AP poll, they're still number 4. Michigan, Clemson's number 5. So I think Michigan probably still gets into the top 4.
Texter writes in, if you slit that shirt down the back, it may provide some relief.
Or the whole thing may just unravel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super uncomfortable. For those of you just tuning in, Bobby Petrino had one of the greatest press conferences of all time. I should do highly questionable this way, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be particularly timely, but visually it'd be amazing. Because my face is super red. The makeup lady, Myra, was saying, wow, what happened to this guy? Because she doesn't know anything about sports. She's just recreating. She's like, well, his face was really bruised. A lot of different colors. She's a perfectionist. She's very good at this. So I look a lot like Bobby Petrino if Bobby Petrino was 100 pounds heavier. And wore a woman's extra large sweatshirt to that press conference.
I mean, I'm looking at the picture of him right now from the actual press conference. She nailed it.
Yep.
Yep.
Texter writes in, Goodell brought up the possibility of less advertising, fewer commercials. Yeah, he's trying to speed up the games. But that seems like a terrible idea for your business model. Fewer commercials. You exist for the commercials.
Right.
You exist as a televised entity for the commercials. That's why you're on free television.
I mean, the way you could do it is fewer commercials, charge more for those commercials, but the ratings are down. You can't charge more. I mean, you can't do it.
Was everyone safe at the Grid of Death this weekend?
Everybody but one person so far. It's still pending.
Yep.
You're welcome, Dan.
Who's that one person? Because Stugatz raised his hand thinking we're on television, forgetting that we're on radio.
I thought Mike was going to finish that sentence. I still have something left in the balance here. I selected the Stugatz Picks helmet, and I have to have a winning week, which I haven't done the entire year. I am 2-2 headed into tonight's game. I have the Giants -2 over the Cincinnati Bengals.
You see what's happening with that line?
What's going on?
It's going the other way on you.
Why?
I mean, because you said the Giants were going to win big, and so the line moved the other way. The moment you said that,
I'm moving lines.
You move lines. You move lines not by betting the Bengals. You move lines by saying you love somebody. That line is, I believe it's Pick'em now.
I had this thing wrapped up, Mike. I had it wrapped. I had Carolina. They were up on Kansas City. I had the Steelers. They were up late on the Cowboys. I had it wrapped up, and both those teams collapsed on me. This is unbelievable. I've had a winning week the entire season.
So he needs a winning week. He needs the Giants tonight in order to have a winning week and not face the Grid of Death.
Dan avoided death by putting that first helmet back. Thankfully, he did that for the audience. His reasoning. He didn't want to have Falcons at Philadelphia coming off of 2 losses at a pick 'em line because, he wanted to do right by the audience.
That's right, because it was a gimme, that game.
Yeah, that game was an absolute gimme. So he took the Texans over the Jags, and they took care of business for him.
How about Fat Chris with the Broncos?
That's a pretty good way to win.
That's
right
the
there.
Greatest Grid of Death victory ever. I
your
think.
guy, you block an extra point. Your guy wasn't even in bounds. Your clumsy guy returning the kick stepped out of bounds, and they just ignored it.
That whole damn bucket, because I had the biggest favorite of the weekend. I thought I was going to coast through that Arizona-San Francisco game. And for a while there, I thought it was easy. And I was shook at the end.
Well, Stugatz is funny this way because Stugatz said he was rolling. He was on his way to a 4-0 week. But what were your other games? Just curious, because I know you're feeling the one, and I don't know what your other games were, but I know you were feeling the ones that you allegedly had won already. But my guess is the ones that you did win were probably close to, and you're ignoring that you eked those out.
I had Washington -3 over the Vikings.
Right, so the Vikings are throwing into the end zone at the end. You got that. So, I mean, are you bleeping kidding me?
Well, I did have Seattle +7.5 at the Patriots.
Did you?
I did. That's how I got to 2-2. Because unfortunately, I took the Pittsburgh Steelers, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, guys, I did not take Carolina. I took them somewhere else. Unfortunately, I took the New York Jets.
Stugatz.
I took the Jets.
Stugatz.
Yes.
Mike, did we say we were going to get on him for how much is he fined for reading the internet wrong?
That's a $5 fine.
I didn't read the internet wrong.
Did you take the Jets or did you take the Rams?
I have the picks right here. I took the Jets -2. I lost that game. Washington -3. Pittsburgh -2.5. The Seahawks over the Patriots. And tonight I have the Giants over the Bengals.
Where'd you come up with Carolina? That you had Carolina. How can you not keep track of what you have?
I make so many picks on so many different outlets, Dan, that I have no idea. So I took Carolina on weekend observations. Sunday morning show I did with Mike Golick Jr.
That's a $5 fine, Stugatz.
All right, $5. Here we go.
Hold on a second. I know this isn't very good radio, but let me just see what Brown Charlie sent out.
I have it. That's what I'm reading it off.
I've got first of all, he wrote St. Louis instead of the Rams. And he's got St. Louis at the Jets. It says on here that you had St. Louis, not the Jets.
I'm telling you I had the Jets.
I'm showing you what you have here, according to our Twitter account. Who's wrong? You or Brown Charlie? He's got Rams at Jets. You've got the Rams. Minnesota at Washington. Wait a minute. Minnesota at Washington? You lost that too.
No, I think the way, Dan, I mean, you're misreading the internet right now. You should put $5 in. What he's doing is he's telling you I had St. Louis at the Jets -2, meaning I had the Jets.
Chicken time.
According to the producer, you didn't even do weekend observations this week.
Yeah, but I had to give my picks in.
Fraud!
We have a weekly segment where I have to make picks against an actual handicapper, a professional handicapper.
Mike, come in here, please. Just come in here. I know this is terrible radio, but he says I'm reading this wrong.
I know what I selected, man.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
You don't know what you selected.
I 100%
You can't
do.
be trusted on this. Who does he have in the St. Louis Jets game?
Looks like the Jets.
The Jets, yes.
Yeah.
You're reading it wrong.
Yeah.
And then Minnesota at Washington. Washington -3. I had Washington.
Yeah, see, because the Seattle...
Right.
His picks are wherever the spread number is next to. Those are your picks, right?
Yes, correct.
All
Thank
right.
you. Yep. Don't lash out at me, man.
St. Louis, though. Come on, Charlie.
Lash out at Brown Charlie. So I don't know. I mean, St. Louis, technically, should that count?
Because they're no longer in St. Louis?
Yes.
This had to have been really bad radio, right?
It was.
Yes.
Scott Burnside, ESPN.com here on the latest edition of Hockey Today, the podcast. We hear from Henrik Lundqvist of the New York Rangers. Trevor Daley of the Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins stops by. And so does Charlie Coyle of the Minnesota Wild.
Dan Le Batard.
Stop kissing ESPN ass, someone writes in.
Stugats.
I will not.
This is the Dan Le Batard show with the Stugats on the ticket.
I mean, you could celebrate 4-4 if you want to. They're going to get smoked at San Diego.
1st and 10, Miami at the 39. Play action. Tannehill rolling right, getting chased, getting drilled, throwing to the end zone. Touchdown, Kenny Stills.
I think Dolphin fans feeling pretty good about their team. I don't know if they should or not, but they feel pretty good about their team right now.
You know they should.
Deion Sims motions right to left. Tannehill hands to the up man, and that is Williams churning towards the end zone. He's across. Touchdown, Miami.
San Diego's better than the Dolphins.
Rivers back, getting pressured, lobbing end zone, intercepted. Intercepted by Tony Lippin. A blind pass by Rivers, picked off in the back of the end zone. I have no idea what that was supposed to be. There was no one close.
A texter writes in, they're going to get smoked at San Diego, Le Batard, 4-5. They just gave up 35 to the Titans. Do you remember what the Titans did to you?
Flush in, pass picked off! Miami will run back with it. Kiko Alonso at the 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Miami. With 1:01 to go.
I mean, you could celebrate 4-4 if you want to. They're going to get smoked at San Diego. Texter writes in, just turned on the radio, insanely excited to hear Dan try to urinate on the raging, unstoppable inferno that is the Miami Dolphins. Even your obese body looks tiny standing in front of this wall, this great wall of magma. Another texter writes in, fire Ellisberg. Another texter writes in, I am telling you, Kiko has been very good in pass coverage. I mean, I don't think he is. I'm willing to acknowledge that my eyes are lying to me. But what does Pro Football Focus say? How many linebackers are there in the league for him to be ranked in the 50s in pass coverage?
He was 57th in coverage. Remember, I think they take out just strictly like pass rushers because they're not often in coverage there. I was surprised to hear you say that because I thought early in his career, and just given his build and seeing how good he was in coverage yesterday, that he was known for his coverage. He looks like a coverage linebacker, but yeah, not good in coverage this year, 57th overall.
I'm totally willing to be wrong on that. You guys, I tell you all the time that your eyes lie to you sometimes, and I feel like he's been beaten a lot in coverage, and I feel furthermore like he's been attacked a lot by offenses in coverage who go looking for where the matchup is with him in coverage and go to expose it. And where does that 50-something among how many, Mike?
Stand by.
And by the way, Stugatz, you could take your $5 back. That you don't deserve that fine. That was my fault. I should be fined for correcting you incorrectly. You get that back.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, they only give rankings for 83. Only 83 qualify.
So what are you doing with that? You think he's good in coverage. I'm telling you he's not. The place that we always go to rank these things that I accept universally, except when it comes to the left tackle of the Dallas Cowboys, who they say is the 8th best left tackle in the league, and I am telling you is the best left tackle in the history of tackles.
Dolphin fans are basing this. I'm trying to find the article here on something Omar Kelly wrote, so I'm trying to find exactly what it is.
Okay, and Omar Kelly is there every day, and he's watching. And what I'm telling you is that Omar Kelly's eyes are lying to him. So a texter writes in, please do the entire national show without explaining the neck brace. If they want to learn the show, they could go listen to the last 12 years of the show and catch up like the rest of us. Well, I don't think that there's going to be very much that needs to be explained here. Although I did just text a friend of mine a photo, and he was like, oh, my God, are you okay? Did Greg Gumbel, I feel like Greg Gumbel, did anyone else notice this? At Batard Show, Guillermo, put this up on the Twitter poll. Greg Gumbel didn't know the names of the players yesterday. I feel like he was unprepared for that game. He kept getting names wrong, and not in the way that I get names wrong or you get names wrong because we're old. Am I the only one who picked up on this?
It's not really a question. So you want it to be, was Greg Gumbel unprepared for the game?
No, was Greg Gumbel getting names wrong yesterday?
That's a question.
Did you notice that Greg Gumbel was getting names wrong yesterday? A lot of names wrong.
Got some more information on Kiko Alonso. Despite his grade, though, he plays the sixth most coverage snaps in the entire NFL. So the Dolphins do trust him in coverage for whatever that is worth.
Another positive thing about the Dolphins, we were talking about positive things last week. Their offensive line seems to be pretty good. Tannehill is getting protection, and that is in line with him not turning the ball over, Stugotz. It's a much easier game to play. I mean, hell, Tony Romo's going to lose his job because of how well that Dallas offensive line protects whoever it is that's behind it. Tony Romo's going to lose that job because Dak Prescott gets to play a different game than most of the quarterbacks in the league because of how well protected he is.
Sure.
Since Miami's offensive line got healthy, Ryan Tannehill is getting hit a lot less. It's not a coincidence that they haven't turned the ball over on offense since week 5. But another positive thing, we were talking about their third down defense being first in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, they won that game, and we could sit there and point to the 4-1 turnover disparity, but they won that game when a lot of ticky-tack calls were going against them that were extending drives. They got an unusual number of penalties that were like, oh, come on, man.
I would say, Dan, for the Dolphins, for Dolphin fans, right, in terms of just good things happening to your organization, I would say today feels as good as just about any day in the last 10 years. And that's not saying much, but good young running back, good young wide receiver. Defense appears to be very good. Offensive line, when healthy, is excellent. Young coach who appears to be pretty smart, and the quarterback is not turning the ball over.
I don't feel like the defense is pretty good. I think the defense is pretty good on third downs. I don't think the defense is generally pretty good.
But there's reason for optimism. That's what I'm saying.
Fair enough, but not because of your trick of saying the thing that happened yesterday is the most exciting thing in 10 years. That's your trick.
Well, it's the last 4 weeks. I mean, they've won 4 consecutive games.
But that's your trick.
It is my trick,
Your
yes.
trick is to go to the last 4 weeks and say this is as exciting as anything without taking any inventory whatsoever of the last 10 years and what's actually happened in the last 10 years, right? Like you do that. That's your move. Your move is
it is my move. I am
you make someone else look it up for you to see if there was another time more exciting, and you hope nobody does.
Right. Well, I'm acknowledging that is my move, but I'm just saying forget about the wins, just in terms of having young guys at skill positions, Jay Ajayi, Ryan Tannehill, Devontae Parker with Jarvis Landry. I mean, there is and a good offensive line when they're healthy. I mean, that should feel pretty good for Dolphin fans, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Texter writes in, Mike Ryan, this is a fantastic idea. You ought to see how many people tweet in about what Dan looks like. I bet you a lot of the national audience will be wondering what the hell happened to Dan. You guys really think that people aren't going to know what we're doing here?
No, they'll know.
Wait till I put the Sugar Bowl logo on your hat.
I am dressed, if you're just joining us, I am dressed like Bobby Petrino after that motorcycle accident with his mistress on the back of the motorcycle where he gave that press conference. Let's explore this for a second.
Real quick, the game last night, you were wondering about ratings. We're all wondering about the ratings. 14.3 rating was last night's rating. It's the best Week 10 Sunday Night Football game in 5 years and up 13% from 2015.
Yeah, it's amazing how much your ratings improve when the games are good. I mean...
And when the election's over.
Yeah.
Good timing. I'm sure Goodell's thrilled with the timing of that.
The Vikings... I think it was the Vikings. Maybe it was the Rams. It's hard to tell these days. Had a 15-play, 51-yard drive yesterday.
No way.
Mm-hmm. And that's a plague upon football. And it's why Dallas, Pittsburgh, Seattle, New England reminded you, okay, that's why I like football. Because I'm telling you, that will wear you down. And the Dolphins, unfortunately, largely also play that style of... They had a couple of big plays yesterday, but they're always looking for that 3-yard damn pass, that check down, that slant. In fact, there was one play where early in the game where Ryan Tannehill rolled to his right and just took whatever it was, made a 6-yard attempt, and Jarvis Landry was running down the left side of the field with a safety nowhere near him. Like, it would have been the easiest. Now, I know you don't throw across your body, but it would have been the easiest open throw. It would have felt like that Russell Wilson play yesterday where he threw to Baldwin at the end of the first half, because there was no one within 20 yards of Jarvis Landry, but He never thought to even look down the field. Jarvis Landry was running down the field as a decoy, and both teams knew it.
The Redskins had a couple of beauties. 12 plays, 55 yards. That resulted in a field goal. They held the ball for 6 minutes, followed by 11 plays, 45 yards, and they held the ball for 5 minutes and 36 seconds.
Well, Kirk Cousins is the king of that nonsense.
Yes.
Kirk Cousins, if you don't have an 8-6 or an 8-5 on your jersey, he's not throwing to you. He doesn't like throwing to Crowder 8-0. He doesn't like throwing to Garcon 8-8. He likes bigger, fatter guys. 8-5, 8-6. Where are my tight ends?
Great analysis by you.
I mean, they do it so much. So, I mean, he's resurrected Vernon Davis because of that. The Dolphins were up 21-17 late in the third quarter, and they had negative 10 yards. You guys were ready for that game to be lost, right? They had negative 10 yards in the third quarter. They did nothing in the third quarter.
Yeah, I think most Dolphin fans were expecting that to result in to end in a loss. Yes,
it's interesting. It's I love it when two teams match up that both fan bases swear they're going to find a way to lose the game, and the Chargers' superpowers came stronger.
Does that exasperate you guys at all, though? Does it exasperate you watching these 15-play, 51-yard drives?
Of course it does. Why wouldn't it?
I mean, I don't know, because I don't think I feel like we were playing that kind of football last year, and we weren't talking about ratings decline. I think Mike hit on it with election. The election coverage has killed sports ratings across the board. Sports ratings have been totally crushed this year. I am so uncomfortable.
We could tell.
You didn't have to dress up for the local hour. I mean, it's really like a sight gag,
Fair point.
So I get no credit for this. I've been dressed this way.
What kind of credit do you want?
We'll clap it up for it.
You want extra credit? Like, way to go, Dano. Way to go, Dano.
I don't have to do
it, so
thank you.
Okay, but because I tell you what, how about I get out of this at noon? Can I get out of this?
No.
No. I mean, come on. Get out of it at noon.
Oh, man. That was rich.
He feels so bad for me. He feels so bad for me.
Terrible.
Yeah, terrible.